The Sixers lose to the New York Knicks 112 to 109 after just a ridiculous roller coaster of a game and an absolutely outlandish ending. The Knicks gave them so many chances to win this game. At the end of it, it was almost like the Knicks were begging them to win this game, and they just fell short every single time. Of course, the worst third quarter team in the NBA has, I think, their worst third quarter of the season somehow. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Joel Embiid looked like in the first half and what the Knicks did to make sure he didn't look like that in the second half. So many things happened. We're going to talk about all of it, and I want your takes in the chat. Before we get into that, we got to keep the lights on. This show is brought to you by our friends at Bright Medical Technology of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's largest medical supply company, specializing in ambulatory aids, walkers, wheelchairs, oral nutrition, tube feeding supplies, diabetic shoes and glucose monitors, incontinence supplies, catheters, inhalers, spacers, nebulizers, all breathing medications. Bright Medical accepts most insurance companies and serves patients of all ages. They have an in-house staff that speaks 15 languages. You never talk to an automated system. If you need any medical supplies, just call Bright Medical, and don't forget to mention Run It Back Philly when you call. Go to brightmedi.com or call 215-725-MEDS. That's 215-725-6337. I need some medical supplies if the games are going to keep ending like that. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Hit the like button if you're in here. Thank you for being here. 290 people live on YouTube. Give me 290 likes. That would be greatly appreciated, even if you're just a Knicks fan who came in here to troll and laugh at us. I want to remind you, first of all, that you haven't won since 1972. So hang the banner. But yeah, hit the like button anyway. And follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Here's where we're going to start. We're going to start in the fourth quarter and the ridiculous ending that was. Karl Anthony Towns fouled out. Now, first of all, I think the 76ers' best chance to win this game was Karl Anthony Towns being on the floor. You know, as soon as Karl Anthony Towns went out in the third quarter, or I don't even think he hardly played the third quarter because he was in foul trouble. The game completely changed with Mitchell Robinson's defensive intensity on Joel Embiid. And then Towns came back in the fourth quarter, and I had hope again because Joel was kicking his ass and Towns was playing like a fraud. And he fouled out. Now, honestly, that's the best thing that could have happened for the Knicks and the worst thing that could have happened for the 76ers. Joel Embiid did everything he possibly could in that final stretch in the fourth quarter to keep us alive. Maxey missed a big-time assignment, and Joel got a retreat block and then an offensive board on the other end. But we just kept leaving guys wide open. OG Anunoby offensive rebound and a dunk in that sequence. OG Anunoby pump faked the corner three, and Kelly Oubre flew into the front row. Wide open, splash. Wide open Landry Shamet. Once again, Landry Shamet got that one in the corner late. That probably was his most wide open three in his entire NBA career. There was nobody within 100 feet of him. The 76ers and their ability to leave shooters wide open is astounding. It really is. I thought the game was over right there. That Landry Shamet three that put the Knicks up, I think, 111 to 102 or something with like a minute left. It's over right there, right? Then Maxey hits a three, and I literally said out loud, I was like, of course he made that. Because the Sixers can't just lose. They gotta do the fake comeback, right? So Maxey hits that three. Then VJ forces a jump ball on Jalen Brunson. Brunson gets called for the foul on the jump ball. So they turn the Knicks. That ends up being a turnover for the Knicks. So we get the ball again. What happened then? VJ foul on Brunson before the inbound. Yeah, that one was that was just such a bad foul. We needed one stop. what was it, a 3-point game at that point? Under 30 seconds left. We needed one stop. And VJ's bear hugging Jalen Brunson before the ball's even inbounded. They called the foul on Brunson. Then the Knicks challenged it and they overtook. But the game was over again. Maxey comes down, spin in the lane. Boom, back to a 5 or 3-point game. OG Anunoby misses a layup. Great defense from Paul George. Foul called. Sixers challenge it. It's overturned. Down 3, 9.9 seconds left. We had 10 seconds to get a 3-pointer off to try to tie the game. The Maxey fell for something that was ridiculous, I think, in that situation. 9.9 seconds left, down 3. We're trying to get a 3 to tie. The Knicks had a foul to give. Tyrese Maxey knows the 76ers are going to foul him as soon as we inbound the ball. We inbound the ball to Maxey. Landry Shamet grabs him, but the officials don't call it. And Maxey throws up a shot like he heard a whistle, except there was no whistle. That was just a crazy sequence because you got to have better discipline than that. I mean, I understand that you know they're going to foul you, and I understand that he literally did foul you, but you can't just assume these NBA officials are going to do the right thing because they suck. I mean, to miss an intentional foul in a situation where everybody knows they're going to intentionally foul is absolutely ridiculous. Let's call that what it is, but it's the NBA. Their officials are unbelievably bad. But we can't blame it on the officials. You can't throw up the ball assuming a foul is going to be called. So Shamet reaches out and grabs him, and Maxey chucks up a 40-footer with 5 seconds on the clock, but no foul was called. Anyway, the game should have been over again. Then what happened? Brunson misses both free throws. The Knicks are begging you to win this game. Begging you to win it. Joel Embiid gets the rebound. 10 seconds left. Takes 2 dribbles and tries to make a bounce pass to Maxey and turns it over. That was the 76ers failing at 2 comebacks that should have never existed. The game should have been over. The Knicks asked you to win it 2 more times and you failed both of those times. But none of those things really matter. The real reason the 76ers lost this game is the third quarter. Let's just change the name of this podcast to the Third Quarter Podcast. Every single episode I record, I discuss the 76ers third quarter. And after a great first half, that's what sucks so much about it. Joel Embiid had an amazing first half. I was tweeting things like, not only is this the best he's looked in 2 years, this is some of the best basketball he's ever played in his career. And all of it gets erased in the third quarter. So the Sixers are the worst third quarter team in the league. They have an amazing first half, a shootout with the Knicks. Neither team led the game by more than 6 points at any point in the first half. And they just have an unbelievably bad third quarter. An embarrassingly bad third quarter. And my problem with it is Mike Brown clearly adjusted. He clearly made an adjustment. Nick Nurse, once again, did not. There's no other way to explain constantly sucking ass in the third quarter. There's no other way to explain you sucking every single third quarter. There's no other way to explain it. The only possible conclusion is the other team changed something from the first half, and you did not. It's the only way to explain you constantly sucking in the third quarter. A whopping 13 points in the third quarter. It's ridiculous, bro. Just look at this chart. The chart even looks stupid, man. 34 in the first, 30 in the second, 32 in the fourth, 13 in the third. The chart even looks fucking dumb. That's how stupid it is to be that bad in one specific quarter. And what happened in the third quarter? Because Joel Embiid had 28 points at halftime. He was dominating. He was on his way to a 50-point game. Well, Karl Anthony Towns got in foul trouble. Mitchell Robinson started the third quarter. And Mitchell Robinson brought a defensive intensity that Joel Embiid wasn't ready for. The rest of the Knicks brought a defensive intensity that nobody was ready for. Maxey wasn't ready for it. Nobody was ready for it. But my problem is, in that situation, Nick Nurse did absolutely nothing to make it easier on the players. It was just Joel Embiid catching the ball outside the three-point line with Mitchell Robinson on his hip. We did nothing to get him on the block in a one-on-one situation, which is how he dominated the first half. We did nothing to get him there. When I review the film of some of these games, last game before some of the last 3 or 4 games, there's strategic plays run to get Joel Embiid in mismatched situations on the block. Back screens under the rim, all kinds of stuff. None of that happened. How does your entire playbook go out the window in one quarter and you don't fix it? It's like Nick Nurse just tosses the playbook in the trash and the players are out there fighting for their life because they have no fucking idea what to do. And it just turns into YMCA junkyard ball. I'm just so confused by the third quarter. It is baffling. It is baffling. And I'm pretty sure Joel Embiid scored 0 points in the third quarter. Maxey didn't really step up to help out the third quarter. Nobody did. Nothing. It just, the Knicks, Nick Nurse didn't either. Not just not having any strategy, but do you know that the Knicks went on a 15-0 run to start the third quarter? Did Nick Nurse call a timeout when it was a 8-0 run? No. Did Nick Nurse call a timeout when it was a 12-0 run? No. Did Nick Nurse call a timeout when it was a 15-0 run? No. He even waited for another turnover and another easy bucket before he called a timeout when the Knicks were on a 17-3 run. And people that say it's not the coach's fault, the players got to play, I understand that. But when you see your team collapsing and you see all the energy being sucked out of the building and you see just a frantic team, everybody running around panicking, you call a timeout, bro! You call a timeout! That's literally when you call timeouts! He just sat back and watched until it was a 17-3 run. And then he called a timeout. And then the 76ers, make a comeback in the fourth quarter. Another fake comeback. That wasn't enough because they continued to leave OG Anunoby wide open in the corner, Landry Shamet wide open in the corner. I haven't even talked about the rebounds yet. This reminded me of the Knicks-Sixers series 2 years ago where Josh Hart had 18 rebounds in Game 6. They just got out-hustled the entire game. And that's just hustle. That's just guys like Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, everybody refusing to give up on every single play. The rebounding was outrageous. I guess we'll look at it. I don't want to, but we will. Offensive, look, defensive rebounds 34-31. Offensive rebounds, bro. You got to be shitting me, man. You got to absolutely be joking. You got to be joking. 19 offensive rebounds for the New York Knicks. 19 offensive rebounds. How does that even happen? How is that possible? And honestly, it's more of a negative on the New York Knicks that they had 19 offensive rebounds, 26-4 second chance points, and still won the game by the skin of their teeth. This should have been a blowout. 26-4 second chance points after 19 offensive rebounds. And like, bro, how many years are we going to watch this team do the same thing? It's so odd to me. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It doesn't matter what players are on the floor. I'm starting to think it's just the 76ers are cursed. Because every year I talk about how the Sixers can't rebound. I'm so baffled. I'm so baffled by that rebounding number. I'm so baffled by, and not just offensive rebounds out-hustled, just out-hustled. The way they leave three-point shooters open because the other team's swinging the ball faster than they're running. It's just insane, man. It's just insane, man. Let's go to the stats because, it really sucks, man. I really wanted to talk about Joel Embiid's performance, and then the third quarter happened. And, all the way down to the end of the game, Joel Embiid was doing everything he could to try to save us in certain situations. I don't know if I said this before the intro, but there was a play really late where Maxey again missed the defensive assignment, and Joel Embiid just rotated over and got a weak side block, I think on OG Anunoby under the rim, and then got like an and one on the other end. And it just wasn't enough, man. But his first half was amazing. 28 in the first and 10 in the entire second half. I finished with 38, 11, and 5. Tyrese had 22, 3, and 6. I thought Tyrese had some runs. I thought he had some moments in the game, but Tyrese Maxey was not. He didn't control this game like he has controlled games this season. There was just way too much. There was way too many parts of the game where Maxey wasn't effective, and it's not just coaching. It's also Tyrese Maxey. They punched you. You got to punch back. What are you going to do? Especially that third quarter. The Knicks ramp up the defensive intensity, and it reminded me of the Oklahoma City Thunder game where the Sixers were hanging out in the first half, and then the OKC was like, all right, we're just going to crank up the intensity here and put this team away. On a lesser level, that's what the Knicks did here. They ramped up the defensive intensity in the third quarter, and the Sixers didn't answer. Joel Embiid didn't answer in the third. Tyrese Maxey didn't answer in the third. Nobody answered. And then they made what ended up being a fake comeback. Kelly Oubre, 14, 7, and 3. It's astounding that Kelly Oubre is your third option. And it's astounding that even if you want to say VJ Edgecombe is your third option, Kelly Oubre is your fourth option. It is astounding that the Philadelphia 76ers are paying Paul George $200 million to be the fifth best player on the team. Let me say that again. The Philadelphia 76ers are paying Paul George $200 million to be the fifth best player on the team. I don't care what's going on, Podcast P. I don't give a shit what's going on. The only thing I know is you cannot be on a max NBA contract and put up 9 points. That's all I know. That's all I know. You can't be on a max NBA contract and put up 9 points in 32 minutes. You can't do it. You got to find a way to score 15, bro. That's all I'm asking from you. All I'm asking from you is 15 points. Paul George, all I'm asking from you is 15 points, bro. For $200 million, all I'm asking for you is be Royce O'Neal, dude. I'm asking you to be Royce O'Neal for $200 million, and you can't do it. And Quentin Grimes sucks. Quentin Grimes sucks, dude. They shouldn't have even gave that dude the qualifying offer. Quentin Grimes, trash. Get him out of here. I've seen enough. I don't care if he has one good game every 5 games. Get Quentin Grimes the hell out of here. I'm sick of this dude. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. Let me know how you feel about it in the chat. Let's go. Before I get to the chat reactions, I want to ask you something. I think I want to ask you something in the chat. Does this loss to the Knicks today change your mind about whether or not the 76ers are contenders? Yes or no? Because I can say the Sixers are contenders. I can say when healthy, they can compete with anybody in the East in the playoffs. But when you watch a game like this and you watch them fall apart like they did in the third quarter, and you throw in the fact that they always fall apart in the third quarter, in fact, they are the worst third quarter team in the NBA, that is one massively glaring issue that tells me, even if they are healthy, and even Joel Embiid, it might not be enough because they suck that bad in the third quarter. Do me a favor one time, close out the chat and hit the like button for me. Give me 500 sympathy likes on this stream. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thank you so much for listening consistently. We've passed 50,000 downloads per month in December, and we're going to do the same thing in January. It might already be there. The numbers are crazy on the podcast platforms. Thank you. Give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Mojo5763. Shamit, 12 points in 25 minutes. 76ers bench, 12 points in 58 minutes. 76ers bench, 12 points in 58 minutes. Let's say it again. 76ers bench, 12 points in 58 minutes. Yeah, they got to figure that out. They got to figure that out. That I think the Sixers might be interested in trading Jared McCain because I think that they thought Grimes was the guy off the bench. Grimes is not the guy. He ain't the guy, bro. He can't give you that punch that you need when a team's playing as intensely as the New York Knicks were. The 76ers, you know, it's really crazy to think about it this way, but the 76ers desperately need Jared McCain to come back healthy. The 76ers desperately need Jared McCain to come back healthy. I don't know how. I don't know when. But off the bench, they absolutely need a guy who can go out there and get some buckets. And I'm not seeing it from anybody on this bench in the past, I don't know how many games. Thank you for that super chat, man. We got another one here from our friend. We got a bunch of them here, man. Mufasa Sports Club, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I got to start putting the top contributors on the screen again, man, because some of you guys are leading in the support for this channel, and I really want to show you love for that. Mufasa Sports Club 01. Why do Drum and Walker get DNP? Fantastic question, bro. I didn't even think about that. Why is Drummond a DNP when you can't get a rebound? That's insane, isn't it? That is insane. If Nick Nurse can't fix the third quarter issues in 40-plus games, then he needs to go. How do you think we can fix the Knicks fans' takeover in our arena? Go Sixers still. Thank you so much for the support, Mufasa Sports Club. I think well, here's the thing, man. Again, Nick Nurse is running out of excuses. You know what I'm saying? Because his whole excuse for 2 years was valid. I didn't have my guys. I've had an injured team for 2 years. What am I supposed to do? You know, we got to the playoffs, but Joel Embiid was coming back from a knee surgery because he tore his meniscus. What am I supposed to do? You know, even though I thought he should have benched Tobias Harris in that playoff series because it was obvious that Tobias was a fraud and anyone with a brain could have predicted Tobias Harris putting up a goose egg against a team that plays intense defense like the New York Knicks. But Nick Nurse went with Tobias for 40 minutes. He scored 0 fucking points. Year 2, whole team's injured. Now, hey, Nicky Nurse. What you got left, bro? You got Embiid out here consistently, looking the best he's looked since his MVP season. You got Paul George out here consistently. Somehow you can't squeeze more than freaking 9 points out of that guy. So if the 76ers stay healthy and get beat like they got beat tonight in the first round of the playoffs, you 100% have to fire the coach because there's no other explanation at that point, right? You would 100% have to fire Nick Nurse. If he finally gets a full healthy roster and can't win a playoff series, you would have to fire Nick Nurse. I completely agree with that. How do you fix the Knicks fans takeover in our arena? There's no way to fix it because it's just economics, man. Sadly, it's just economics, you know. The dollar is worth more in New York City than it is in Philadelphia. Everything's more expensive in New York City. You know, and that's why I laugh at Knicks fans when they brag about that. We took over your stadium. We took over your arena. You just capitalized on an economic gap. That's all you did. You capitalized on the fluctuation of the US dollar. You didn't. Did they act like they showed up literally like ready to scrap and physically took over our arena? No, you didn't. Like, for you guys that don't understand it, let me break it down for you. Inflation is way higher in New York. So what does that mean? Things are more expensive. Why are things more expensive? People get paid more money. The average salary is much higher in a city like New York City. So a $500 ticket to someone in New York is chump change, and $500 ticket to somebody in Philadelphia is not. You know, I've witnessed this living in Hershey, PA, my whole life when the tourists come for Hershey Park, bro. They just throw money around like it's nothing because they're like, oh shit, $100 dinner tab, that's nothing. Up in New York, bro, our bill will be $700, $1,000. They told me that all the time for years. It's a totally different world. So they can just come in and buy all the tickets because they can afford it because the money is way higher in New York City. It's just cheap for them. You know what I'm saying? But there's no way to fix it. It's just an economic imbalance. How can you fix that? Josh Harris is going to keep selling the tickets. He doesn't care who buys them. What did Josh Harris do that one playoff series where we wanted the Knicks to stop taking over our arena? I think Josh Harris bought 1,000 tickets. 1,000. And then he probably ended up, you know, figuring out a loophole to write that off on his taxes anyway. But he bought 1,000 tickets. That ain't doing nothing. What is this? What does the arena hold? 25,000? Wish we had a capable bench scorer. Facts. Thank you for the super chat. Facts. It's Jared McCain, dude. The Sixers desperately need Jared McCain. Braden, thank you so much again for another super chat trade for Bryce Sensabaugh. It's interesting, man. There's a lot of like role guys that look successful in other teams. There's a lot of guys that I know score bench points on other teams, and then we think like we need a guy like that, but it always seems like that guy in a Sixers jersey doesn't do that. You know, Landry Shamet, perfect example. Drafted, in fact, by the Philadelphia 76ers. Traded to the Detroit Pistons plus 2 first-round draft picks for Tobias Harris, who the 76ers then signed to a max NBA contract, and he became the highest-paid NBA player to never make an All-Star team in the history of the freaking sport. Anyway, Landry Shamet in a 76ers jersey. He was nice. He was all right. Goes to Detroit, ends up all the way back in New York, and now you got like Landry Shamet, a perfect example. 12 points off the bench. Would he have done that for us if he played for the Sixers? It feels like something about the Sixers just doesn't feel like it would happen. It would be nice to have that 3-point sniper, though. That's what Landry Shamet is. And honestly, when that trade happened, I was talking a lot about how I thought the Sixers lost that trade. And Landry Shamet, Tobias Harris was hyped in Detroit because he averaged 20 points per game that one season. And it felt like he was an up-and-coming star. He was 26 years old, I think, at the time. And the Sixers, they traded for Tobias Harris. But that's where roster construction, outweighs big names. You know what I mean? Because you want shooters around Joel Embiid. You don't want a Tobias Harris around Joel Embiid. A reluctant three-point shooter. He shoots like 2 threes a game. You would want a guy like Landry Shamet, who's going to space the floor and let it fly. But they traded him for Tobias Harris. Perfect example of how the Sixers don't actually know how to build a roster. It always just seems like, a bunch of dudes playing a video game. Like, I don't know, man. What should we do with all these assets? Let's go get, let's trade this guy. Let's trade that guy. Swan Daily, $2 super chat. Seeing Knicks fans at Geno's is a nightmare. At Geno's? Why do you care if Knicks fans are at Geno's, man? Let the Knicks fans hang out at those tourist spots, man. That's where they're supposed to be. Knicks fans they have to be at Geno's and Pat's because they're not going to go a couple streets up. They're not going to wear a Knicks jersey a couple streets up. That's where they have to be, man. They're not going to walk down Girard Ave with a Knicks jersey on. Oh, dude. Grimes and Watford equals Kevin Patullo. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Patullo's coach. Grimes and Watford equal Sadori Jackson or whatever his name is. You know what I mean? Mufasa, thanks again, man. Why does that not happen when we play the Giants then? Tickets are definitely still cheaper at the Link for New York. Well, that's a great question too. And I guess the answer is that Eagles fans are maniacs. You can't keep Eagles fans out of the stadium. If Eagles tickets were $1,000 a piece for the nosebleeds, they would buy all of them. You can't. Eagles fans will sell their only vehicle to buy an Eagles ticket. Eagles fans will put a lien out on their house. Eagles fans will cash advance a credit card at 50% interest to buy an Eagles ticket. It's a football town. You know what I mean? And that's it too, really. Like when you really think about it, Philly's a football town, man. Philly is Philadelphia Eagles. And New York is a basketball town. New York is Rucker Park. New York is hip-hop, the birth of hip-hop. New York is hip-hop and basketball. You know? It's New York is a basketball city. Like when you walk around, I walk around any place in Pennsylvania, I'll see an Eagles jersey, an Eagles hat everywhere. It's very rare outside of the city of Philly to see a Sixers hat. You know, it's just not as mainstream as football is in the area. New York, I would guess, is the opposite. You know, where like all over New York, there's probably just Knicks fans everywhere. So it's like basketball is as big in New York as Eagles football is in Philly, I think. And that's unfortunate. I wish the 76ers were more mainstream. But it is. You can't even argue. Everyone here is an Eagles fan. Girls in Hershey, PA, that don't even know what's going on. They're like, we're going to the Eagles game, yeah! And they dress cute and go to the Eagles tailgate. None of them go to a Sixers game. They don't. You know what I mean? Screw Ariel Huckporty. Dude's a bum. I have no idea who that is, bro. Who's that? I don't know who that is. But thank you for another super chat. Let's go to... Shall we look at Twitter reactions to this game? All right, let's go to Twitter. Let's look at Twitter reactions to this game, and I'll still chop it up with you guys in the chat. Vlad, thank you for being a member of the channel. William Irvine, thank you for being a member of the channel. And shout out to all the members, man. Let's see what we got on Twitter. When we type in Sixers Knicks, let's do that. Every Sixers Knicks game is a rock fight with a last 2-minute report that is 8 pages long with more corrections than a second grader's grammar homework. Yeah, that's facts. How do NBA officials mess up this bad? You know? I'm not blaming this game on the officials, but I see where people are coming from when you know the team's going to intentionally foul. Every player knows they're going to intentionally foul. You inbound the ball, the player literally intentionally fouls, and the referee doesn't call it, and then Tyrese throws it up. Oh, he's number 55. Oh, is that the center the Knicks had in there? Tried to injure Embiid. Yeah, I don't know if he tried to injure him. He landed on him, that's for sure. I don't know if he tried to injure him, though. But he definitely landed on him. Should have been Knicks ball as VJ was out of bounds. Okay, see, they missed that one, too. Tony Brothers. By the way, guys, I know I trashed the Sixers broadcast a lot. Whoever that dude was on the ESPN broadcast, bro, like, he had two things going. He would compare everything to the 1960s, every chance he got. And then, bro, I've never heard a broadcaster love NBA officials as much as that guy. He told us every official's name and how long they've been officiating, how great they are, where they grew up. Like, what are we doing, bro? Even he wouldn't even disagree with a call without telling us that he loves Tony Brothers before he said it. You know what I mean? He'd be like, and again, I love Tony Brothers. He's one of the best to ever do it. But that was a bad call. Can't you just say that's a bad call? Why are you kissing ass so much, man? I get it. It's ESPN, but be a little more honest. Like the Van Gundy and Reggie Miller and some other dudes that used to be on TNT and stuff. Like, you can say that call sucked and you can't make that call. That's a terrible call. You don't have to, he's one of the best to ever do it, and he's been officiating for 27 years. And get him out of here, bro. Look at Tony Brothers, man. He's 79 years old. Get him out of here. He can't see anymore, dude. That's another thing about NBA officials, man. What's the cutoff? What's the cutoff? When do you start to lose your eyesight? At what age do people start to lose their eyesight?
Here's an answer from clevelandclinic.org.
It commonly affects people older than 50. People start to lose their eyesight at 50 years old. How old is Tony Brothers, the NBA official?
Tony Brothers, the NBA referee, was born on September 14th, 1964.
He's 61. So what's the cutoff with NBA officials? Because you have to have very quick hand-eye coordination for 48 straight minutes. Right? This is a serious conversation I'm having right now. I'm not joking at all. To officiate an NBA game for 48 minutes, you have to be in shape to be able to run up and down the floor, and you have to have 20/20 vision, and you got to be quick with the hand-eye coordination, with catching everything back and forth, boom, 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 boom. So what's the cutoff? He's 61. Are you allowed to be a 75-year-old NBA official? I don't get it. I don't get it, bro. Like, how about every NBA official is 40 and younger? How about that? Get these old dudes out of here. Time to retire. You can't see it. You can't see anymore. You can't see anymore, man. Eyesight can be corrected with contacts. Bruh. Found the NBA official in the chat. Yeah. What else we got on Twitter, man? Pool report from today's Sixers-Knicks game. Lots of during the game we did not observe. Okay, so is this the officials talking already? The pool report interview was conducted by Noah Levick, NBC Sports Philadelphia, with crew chief Tony Brothers following today's Knicks at 76ers game. On the successful Sixers challenge where their defensive foul on Paul George was overturned with 9 seconds left, why was the proximate foul not called on Joel Embiid for his contact on Landry Shamet away from the play? On the play with the drive to the basket, George is vertical. On the play, we did not observe any. Well, you want them to call a foul? Like, why would you even ask him that? It appeared, here we go. Here's the one we're looking for. It appeared Shamet tried to intentionally foul Tyrese Maxey with 7 seconds left. Why was no call fouled on the play? Why was no foul called on the play? During the game, we did not observe any illegal contact on the play. Tony Brothers said that out loud. Landry Shamet reached out and grabbed him. And Tony Brothers says, we did not observe any illegal contact on the play. Not only was there blatant illegal contact, you knew the Knicks were going to intentionally foul because they had a foul to give and the Sixers were down 3. So there was every reason in the world for you to be looking for an intentional foul. How do you mess that up? It also appeared that Jalen Brunson tried to intentionally foul Embiid with approximately 2 seconds to go. Why was no foul called there? During the game, we did not observe any illegal contact on the play, Tony Brothers says. Look, man, he's probably a nice guy, but he's 61 years old. It's time to go, buddy. We need all NBA referees to be 40 and under, okay? That's what we need. The NBA officiating at the end of the Sixers-Knicks game is an abomination. Everyone blaming the refs. I mean, like, here's the thing. I agree. The refs suck. It is odd that the NBA can't seem to fix how bad their officials are. But the 76ers lost because they had the worst third quarter I've ever seen in my entire life. That's why they lost. 76ers lost because the Knicks punched them in the mouth in the third quarter, and they did not respond. I thought Joel Embiid was not aggressive once Mitchell Robinson came in the game and started playing the intense defense he was playing and started to get physical with him. Now, I think the officials were allowing them to play some jailhouse ball a little bit, you know. But I don't think Joel Embiid was aggressive enough right there. It was like Mitchell Robinson tested him. You know, that's what I saw. And shout out to Mitchell Robinson for that. If I was a Knicks fan, I would be saying Mitchell Robinson's defense on Joel Embiid in the third quarter won the game for the Knicks. I would say that. Sixers lost this one on rebounds in third quarter. Facts. Are we live? If so, hi. If you didn't catch the Knicks on those 2 back-to-back games, you guys will be 0-3 against the Knicks. What? The Sixers were on a back-to-back too. And the Knicks rested Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, and everybody on the first night of a back-to-back. So what are you even talking about? You don't get to rest guys on one leg of a back-to-back and then complain that you played a back-to-back. Mitch always dominates Embiid. I wouldn't go that far. I think we can beat the Bucks and the Hornets next easily. Should. Very well should. Nurse has to go. He is buns. Bad coaching and lineups. No timeouts used at the right moments. No Drummond. Why? Eric02156. I could not agree more. And again, if they stay healthy and they lose in the first round of the playoffs, I think Nick Nurse is out of here. I do think that. We play better when Cat is on the court versus the Knicks because he's so bad on defense and a turnover machine on offense. Facts. Facts. Well, hey, I hate that they lost that game. But I can't blame it on officials. I'm blaming it on the third quarter. Nick Nurse's lack of strategy in the third quarter. Nick Nurse's refusal to call a timeout when the Knicks are on a 8-0 run, 10-0 run, 12-0 run, 15-0 run. Doesn't call a timeout. Doesn't switch up the strategy. And when Mitchell Robinson came in the third and the Knicks started ramping up the intensity, there was no strategy to get Joel Embiid back on the block where he was dominating the first half. You know, they just straight up went away from what was working. And I don't understand that. Yeah. That's all I got, man. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I will talk to you on the next one. Of course, we'll have the play breakdown tomorrow morning. We'll look at some plays in this game. We'll probably just dissect the third quarter and look at every single play in the third quarter. Pause it, all that stuff. Look at everything and look at it in depth and really try to figure out what the hell happened in that third quarter. That will be tomorrow morning. There's a free version and there is a members only version where we dive even deeper. So consider becoming a member for the extra content. Thank you for the support. I'm out.